Peace to you. I hope this finds you well. I don't know how many people who follow me, who look at my videos, are Christian. I have a tendency to think that most of them are Muslim, but this is really for the Christians. I just visited a live panel discussion where this guy was trying to educate me on Arabic and actually showing me the Arabic. And anyway, but he was a Christian. We didn't get very far in the discussion. I was hoping we would, but we didn't. And what I want to position for the Christians to consider is what would be the advantage of writing the Quran if it's not from God? What would be the advantage? Now, most Christians, I would assume, would say, well, it diverts from Jesus's teaching. I would say that most of those Christians have never read the Quran. I tried to get this fellow to understand, but I followed Jesus for over 40 years, right? And no time in that did I understand him to be telling me that he was God. At no time. So during that 40-year period, I had guidance and peace in Jesus's teachings, but I sort of felt as though I was floundering because I didn't believe, as most Christians do, that Jesus is one part of this Trinity. Which brings me to the point. The Quran says quite clearly that there is no Trinity. It says quite clearly that there is no Trinity. The Bible doesn't even mention the word Trinity. Now, as I said, I followed Jesus's teachings for all those years. I never understood him to be saying to me, JJ, I am God. Jesus says, at least one point in his words that he shared, at least one point, he says, he refers to him quite often himself as the Son of Man. He says, and you Christians can verify this, he says, you can say anything about the Son of Man and be forgiven, but you cannot say anything about the Spirit of God. That's blasphemy. You cannot do that. So if I can say anything about the Son of Man, Jesus referring to himself, if I say he is not God, where is the problem? I would be forgiven for it. Now, as I said, I wanted to make this for the Christians, and I don't know that the Christians will actually ever see this. In Gethsemane, Jesus prays for the cup to be taken from him. That, for me, was a stumbling block. Because as a follower of Jesus, I was with him when he said, with him in understanding is what I mean, not with him literally there. But I was with him when he said he was sent to be sacrificed. I understood that. I understood what he said about loving God and loving your neighbor as yourself. I understood that. The agony in the garden threw me. It didn't make sense. I mean, if Jesus knew the whole while that his purpose was to be sacrificed, why was he asking to have the cup taken from him? I know Christians will say, well, that was his human nature. His human nature wanted the cup to be taken from him. I'm telling you, Christians, I'm asking you first, try giving the Quran a chance. Try reading it. Not hadiths, not what people say about the Quran. Just try reading it. Because when I read in the Quran that Jesus was not crucified, it was only made to appear so, I suddenly saw it as making sense. What I tried to say to this fellow on the platform is, love is greater than sacrifice. Love is greater than sacrifice. Jesus asks, pleads with the Father, please take this cup from me. And the Father does. He does. He takes it from him. Just as he did when Abraham believed that he needed to sacrifice his son. At the moment when he was going to sacrifice his son, the Lord God said, you have proven yourself. Because the Lord God Almighty was looking for the willingness. So all those years of following Jesus and getting to the garden and causing me to be confused makes sense in the Quran. So what reason, if not to make the Abrahamic faiths, the teachings, clear, as it says in the Quran? It says this was sent down to make clear all of these teachings. If not sent for that reason, what advantage would there have been for creating the book? And if I've just stated to you that Jesus himself says you can say anything against the Son of Man, if you've not read the Quran, you don't know how Jesus is appreciated, how the Lord God Almighty has taken him up to himself. That God's love was greater than the plan. I believe Jesus was supposed to be sacrificed. And I believe the real reason for the scenario, the narrative part about Gethsemane is showing us that we should be willing to submit, to serve God. Jesus says, take this cup from me, but nevertheless, thy will be done. What other advantage would there have been for writing the Quran? What other advantage than to make things clear? Peace.